Michael McCaul. Congressman, it's good to have you on. You were at the border with Poland and Ukraine. It's good to see you. So you went to the border with Poland and Ukraine with a bipartisan congressional delegation. What did you see?
I saw a lot of human suffering, particularly at the border. 2 million people crossing in 10 days. It was very nostalgic, almost reminiscent of, Nazi Germany when the Nazis invaded Poland. This major refugee crisis that we really haven't seen since World War II, and the invasion is as large as that time when Hitler invaded Poland. We met with the 82nd Airborne, though. Talked about the lethal weapons we're moving into Ukraine to help them fight the fight and beat the Russians. I got to tell you, Ukrainians have been very inspiring. We underestimated them and overestimated the Russian army, but we've got to get these lethal weapons in. We're passing a big package today to deal with this. But when I talked to the Ukrainians, what they kept telling me is we don't need troops. We just need these weapons.
And the president, the reports coming in, sending 2 Patriot missile batteries over into Poland. And the vice president will arrive in Warsaw. Hand-to-hand combat is breaking out in Kyiv. So that's happening as well. I mean, the atrocities, the House Intelligence had a hearing, Congressman, that Putin tends to escalate before he de-escalates, and this could get worse. What do you think?
Well, it could, and we don't want this to escalate. We want to give the Ukrainians these lethal weapons, the Stingers, the javelins that are anti-tank, the ammunition, but also these deadly drones that will hit this convoy of tanks. I would have liked to have seen the MiGs come in, but that got sort of botched, I think. There was a plan to work there. And also, several other lethal surface-to-air missiles that we can bring in there. That's what they really need right now, because once that convoy comes down and circles Kyiv, we saw what happened today when they bombed that maternity hospital. They bombed a children's hospital in Kyiv. I mean, I think this man has committed war crimes in violation of the Geneva Convention.
He's being accused of being a war criminal, and he's being called evil. There's also this story going on. Why is the president not answering Canada's calls? Canada's the premier of Alberta is saying we can easily replace Russia's oil with even more oil in Russia, 1 million barrels a day. Why not take Canada's oil and avoid a recession?
Yeah, why do you shut down the Keystone Pipeline? That's 800,000 barrels a day versus what we import from Russia, and that's about 600,000 barrels a day. And and Liz, what I'm more concerned about as well is that not only, I urge the administration to not import Russian oil. I'm glad they did that, because we are funding Putin's war machine in this bloodshed. But to turn to the other dictators in the world, like Venezuela with Maduro, or like the Ayatollah in Iran, this is the fundamental, flawed energy policy, which leads to a bad foreign policy. We need to produce more of that here in the United States.
Yeah, and where are the human rights watchdog groups and the Squad, Pelosi, Schiff, Schumer, on what you just said about Iran and Venezuela? We had the White House press secretary hammering away about U.S. oil industry not, drilling on 9,000 leases. The oil industry is saying, wait a second, we are, drilling flat out. That's only a quarter of the leases that we're working on, that 9,000 figure. And just like the White House press secretary is saying it takes a year to bring up Keystone, it's the same thing for those 9,000 leases. It takes a long time to find oil in those oil wells on those leases. And after they hammered the U.S. oil industry, and they, it just pounded it. The U.S. oil industry is saying it's going to take time to ramp that up too. Let's watch what's happening right now, because, Congressman, now there's a push to use the pretext of war in Ukraine to get the U.S. on green energy. Watch the top Biden economic official, Brian Deese, and watch the president here. Take a listen.
What we need to do is actually reduce our dependence on oil and gas altogether, so that we and our allies, like those in Europe, are not as susceptible to global commodity price moves like we're seeing now.
I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
It's going to go up. Can't do much right now. Russia's responsible.
Do you see that? He said I was going to fight for it, and then hours later said I can't do anything about it. Your response, Congressman?
I mean, I think they're going to blame this war for the rising prices of energy, but the fact of the matter is he had no energy policy other than to go green. You cannot convert like a light switch, you know, to abandon fossil fuel production and go to green energy overnight is extremely naive, and I would argue extremely dangerous because, you know, our energy policy is our national security policy. And unfortunately, we've been in a couple wars in the Middle East. Why would we want to stop producing in the United States and have to be dependent on you know, Russian oil? And thank God we got off that. But OPEC, we're blaming OPEC now for not producing more energy. The idea that we're going to go to the Ayatollah and beg for energy,
yeah.
And then Maduro down in Venezuela. All of our foreign nation adversary states, the idea that we're going to be dependent on them, think about how vulnerable that makes the United States of America.
Congressman Michael McFaul, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you. Coming up.